Hi, welcome to the Regula Young Group Sellers series. In this episode, Denise and I are talking about condo sales and how they differ from regular residential sales. Out of the two of us, Denise is our condo expert. So I'm going to pick her brain on this one. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually excited for this one. It's nice to listen to you explain some of this stuff. Um, when it comes to condos, what makes selling a condo different from selling a house in Manitoba?
Well, there's two things that are a huge difference besides the actual type of real estate it is, and that is the condo docs and the cooling off period. So in Manitoba, you are required to provide all the condo docs to the buyer, and they have a 7-day cooling off period to review all those docs, and they can back out for absolutely no reason at all. They could just have changed their minds, and in that 7 days they do not have to give a reason. The 7-day cooling off period starts the day that they receive all of the condo docs. So if there's one missing, it doesn't start yet.
Right?
What's that?
They have to sign acknowledging they received.
That's right. They sign acknowledging that they've received all of them. And like, as when I'm the buyer's agent, I literally go through the form and make sure that I've been provided every document on the list before I have my buyer sign off. Because sometimes people just hand you a pile and don't really go through it.
Yeah, and then like when it comes to the condo documents, I feel like this is an expense that not all sellers are aware of. And if you've lost the documents from when you purchased or they've expired, you do have to pay for new ones through the condo board, which takes us to my next question. What are the key documents every condo seller needs, and where do they come from?
So there is a list called the table of contents, and for the disclosure statement by seller. Anyway, it's Form 6B, and it outlines every document that could be required. And not everyone on there is going to be required for every sale, because some are going to be applicable to a new build, and some of them are going to be applicable to a conversion, and some of them are going to be applicable to the majority of condos in that it is just resale. So you need the statement of the cooling off period, and the buyer's right to cancel, and the statement about the buyer's right to cancel because of a material change. You need those for all of the types of condos for sure. You need a disclosure statement, and again, which disclosure statement is going to be dependent on who's selling, if it's resale or a new build or a conversion. And a disclosure statement by the condominium corporation, and that one is only good for 90 days, so you don't want to order that too soon, and you're going to get that from your condo manager. The majority of these documents you should be getting from your condo manager, but most of them are going to be provided to you throughout the years. So like the next one is the budget for the current fiscal period. You should be given that every year, so you shouldn't have to buy it. But if you're not good at keeping your documents when they're sent to you, or printing them off when they're emailed to you or whatever, then I have to buy the full package.
Yes.
So then number 6 is the budget for the next fiscal year, if it's been distributed. So if it hasn't been distributed yet, then it's not required. And the most recent financials and the auditor's report and the statement of financial projections. Again, that one's not always, like, that one is prepared by the declarant. So that one is like for when they're converting it or new build. The current bylaws and rules, as well as any proposed bylaws and rules or amendments. So you might have the current bylaws or like the original bylaws, but maybe you don't have all the new ones. So sometimes, like, we look at the condo index and it'll tell us what there should be, and we make sure that we actually have them all. There's going to be a property management agreement, unless it's self-managed. And so that has to be provided. And meeting notice, if there's any upcoming meetings, that has to be included. And then there's any notices given to the unit owners for any meetings even held after possession date. Anything to do with that would have to be provided. And again, it would if there isn't any, then it would just say not required for this sale. Reserve fund study or the latest update has to be, and those should be no more than 5 years old. Sometimes they are, and then there's somewhere in the other condo documents that says why and when it's supposed to be coming with a new one. And the declaration and any amendments is like, that one's the main document that made it a condo. We for sure need that, as well as the excerpt of plans. So sometimes before we went digital, we would get like a giant roll that was like, I remember sending a realtor, he took his motorcycle to Land Titles to pick that up for us. And because we can get them from Land Titles cheaper usually than from the condo manager. And he took his motorcycle, and it was so big, he couldn't even fit it on his motorcycle. He had to strap it onto his back. So, and it was like sticking way upwards. And because it was way too big. But
do you still go through Land Titles then for
the odd document? I do, because the odd, like the ones that you can get from Land Titles are typically the ones that your clients will usually have, like the declaration and any amendments or the bylaws or the plans. Those are the ones that are registered on title.
Oh, okay.
Things like the budget or the financials, those are all new every year. So those are registered on title. So those are the ones that you have to get from the condo manager.
Yeah.
And your clients should be getting copies of those every year. So if they're not getting copies of them, then they should be inquiring as to why they're not getting copies of them, because they shouldn't end up having to pay for them.
And the reserve fund study has to be updated how many years?
Every 5 years, yeah. And so that one's every 5 years. And again, they should be providing a copy once it's done. So then again, you shouldn't have to pay for it. The only one that you should have to pay for, and definitely have to pay for, is the disclosure by the condo corporation, which is, I believe that's number 4 on the table of contents.
That one can expire.
And that one expires every 90 days. Yeah. And it has to be given to the buyer within 90 days. And some lawyers will require a new one if it's going to expire before possession even. So, so there's that.
And then there's one document that the buyer's lawyer orders, right?
That's the status certificate. Yeah. So that one's not provided by the seller. That one, the buyer actually has to purchase themselves.
Yes. And then as far as the documents, so they've got the 7 days to review them. We've kind of touched on this a bit, but is there anything else you'd like to add to how that affects sellers?
It affects the sellers in the sense that buyers can back out for any reason. If they're asking questions, try to answer them as best as you can, or direct them to the person on the board that would be best able to answer those questions. Because if they don't get their answers, they might just back out, right?
Yeah.
And again, if they do back out, there's nothing a seller can do, because they don't need to have a reason to back out.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then when it comes to showing a condo, how do the condo's rules affect showings and the selling process?
It's really good to check with your condo manager or the board on what the rules are. Sometimes they don't allow lockboxes. You want to know where can people park during a showing, whether it's in your spot or visitor parking. You want, if they're not allowing lockboxes, where can we put a lockbox? Is there a property next door that we can put it, or somewhere close by? Sorry?
BFI bin. I've seen that.
There's been that.
But then they get taken, and then there goes your lockbox. So.
Well, I know, right? I had one on a downtown property that I would put on a bus bench. When it wasn't a bus bench, it had like railings and stuff. And Home Care was using it for theirs as well, but mine got vandalized a couple times. They never broke into it because I use the Century Lock ones that the board sells us.
Those are impossible to get into.
Yeah, but they vandalized them. They spray painted them and all.
They had to get stolen, but they couldn't get into.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's just
signs too, right? Sometimes they don't let you put up a sign.
Yeah, sometimes there's no signs allowed. So you just want to find out what those rules are so that we, can follow them.
Sometimes you need
And
to get into the like the recreational areas.
yeah, how can we get into all the different things and make sure that your realtor knows
Yeah.
about all those things? Yeah.
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 And then, what would you say that the most common mistakes condo sellers make when they're listing?
Missing documents is a huge one. Miscommunication with the condo manager. Picking a realtor that hasn't sold a condo before. And, because that can lead to missing documents. Because if you're struggling with it and you own the condo and you have a realtor who doesn't know much about condos, how do you, yeah, there's a table of contents, but do they know that they have all the right documents?
Yeah.
And the wrong documents or not enough documents can lead to the 7-day cooling off period starting again, which delays possession, right?
Yeah.
So to make it smooth, you want to know that you have everything that you actually need.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you are right. Realtors all have to learn somewhere, but if they are listing a condo and they don't have a ton of experience, then it's important that they communicate with another
Someone who does.
at their brokerage that, supporting each other to make sure that they've got all the information.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then I think that's pretty much it for this one.
Yes, we covered it all.
Yes, thank you for answering all my condo questions. And I look forward to our condo listing this week.
Yes.
Yeah. All right,
Awesome.
Take care.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe.
Sorry?
Like and subscribe.
Yes, subscribe, like, and share. Awesome. Thank you. And